be the best. And because of that, I think a lot of, and sometimes that comes on your own self, just pushing yourself sometimes. Sometimes when actors go into characters, I think sometimes you can get lost sometimes in that character if you go too deeply in it or something like that. And I think that was sort of seen as the ideal, to get lost. And I had to start to ask myself questions about what was healthy for me in terms of I remember being in a production and taking that character home with me every night. And I just see Juilliard as like a whole time of me growing and learning as an actor at the same time. I mean, I was in my early 20s, you know, also growing as a person, as an adult. It all was one. And you know, it was an interesting time. There were some nights yeah.
Do you want to go? Well, no, like, I have some nights, you have some nights. Everybody here is going through their nights.
Yeah, you know, it's
no, I won't bully you into doing it. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll come back around to
you
it.
guys.
I'm just getting to know them, you know.
How much time elapsed between you graduating from Juilliard and you landing the role in Orange is the New Black?
Oh, wow. Okay, so I graduated in, I guess, May of 2010. Okay. And we started shooting Orange in, gosh, I think it was September of 2012.
Oh, all right, 2 years. So 2 years you're going out
2 years.
On auditions and stuff, I'm assuming?
Yeah, the very first job I booked out of school was this movie called The Sitter with Jonah Hill. Which is it was my first time ever on a set. And I actually ended up getting sort of a sizable role in the movie, which was crazy to me. Method Man actually played my boyfriend. He has really, really soft lips. No, yeah, that was my first job, and you sort of think that, like, all right, I did it. I'm here. I'm in a movie. Like I made it, but I didn't get a job for a while after that. I had to become a bartender, and I think, by the way, everyone should have a job in the service industry. I really, really think so. It helps you see people as people. Yeah, that was my first job, and I sort of thought that things were going to be different after that, and I sort of had to learn, and am still, you know, learning throughout my career that, like, this is, if you want to make a career doing this, then, like, you sort of have to be in it for the long haul. There are times, especially in the beginning of someone's career, and sometimes for the entirety of someone's career, you don't know whether you're going to have a job or not. And you don't know what, you know, sometimes people don't know where their paycheck is coming from next. But to me, even during that time where I was, you know, bartending and like, I think I did keep the job while I was doing Orange, because I didn't know what was going to happen. They didn't tell me it wasn't until season 4, but no, but it's you have to really hold on to, or I found I had to really hold on to my passion, to what brought me to this in the very beginning. And what brought me to this in the very beginning was that 10-year-old girl sitting in the backseat of my parents' car hearing a commercial on the radio about an arts camp and being so excited about doing that. And I constantly have to remind myself as my life gets bigger to remember that passion, remember why you're doing this, remember that the joy that this gives you just when you think about being on stage, just when you think about being able to tell someone a story that they haven't heard before, or that they have heard before, but in a different way. And that's I think the struggle of what I hope will be a long career for me, will be holding on to the passion, not getting you know, jaded by all the things that are going on. And like I said, my life is significantly bigger than it was 5 years ago. But I think for me, the key is always remembering the passion.
When during Orange, or at what point during Orange is the New Black did you realize that your life had changed and things weren't the same for you anymore?
It was pretty immediate, you know. It was funny. Like while we were filming, there were no Netflix streaming television at all.
Right.
So I would try to tell people about the new job I had, and they were like, "That like a web series?" or, and I was like, "I don't think so." No, yeah, I remember just being sort of like in this bubble while we were filming, and no one really knew what it was, and we thought we had something good, but like also you're in a bubble, like everyone in the bubble thinks it's good, you know. Mm-hmm. So I remember when the show got released. I think it got released on like a Thursday or Friday, and I remember I was on like I was thinking like 50th and 8th or something like that. And there's like a Rite Aid or something around there. I could be wrong. I haven't.
Right across from the Seas train. No, I know what you're
Thank
talking
you.
about.
Yes, exactly. So I was in there, and that was the first time somebody recognized me, and it was a day or two after the series had come out. And there hasn't been a day in my life where I've walked outside and not been holed up in the house where I haven't been recognized. And it just happened immediately. Mm-hmm. This show really introduced the world to binge watching, and it was I was out with I was having a hard time with it with the fame and everything, and I couldn't understand why I decided I was going to go out. I was sort of in the house a lot, like feeling like I needed to shut myself out from the world because it had gotten so big so fast. And I was gonna go out with Lupita Nyong'o, and I said, not like on a date.
That was a very casual flex. Everyone write that down. Yes, you were with your close personal friend Lupita. Go on.
I, to myself, said at the time that I gave myself permission to exit the house because she was on the cover of every magazine, and I was like, ain't nobody gonna care about me. This is gonna be great. I can get a break from it. And it was really interesting. People came up to me, and I was bewildered, and I sort of like, I was like, Lupita, I don't understand. And she basically told me, she was like, I'm on this screen that's larger than life in a theater for 2 hours. And people are usually fully clothed. But when you watching Orange is the New Black on your couch, the intimacy, you know, some people are in their underwear just chilling, they think that like Poussey is like their friend, you know what I mean?
Right.
No, really, sometimes people come up to me on the street, and in the beginning, it happens less now, but in the beginning, people didn't know where they knew me from. They just knew they knew me. A lot of times you work at my Starbucks. I was like, I don't work at a Starbucks. This one man swore I was a street performer. I said, I am a performer, you got that right. But there was this thing that's almost hard to explain, that people just felt ownership over the show and over the characters. And it's really interesting to see, you know, because people sit there and they watch it. And Netflix, they suggest, you know, all right, the next episode is starting in 3 seconds, you know what I mean? So you like run to the bathroom real quick, come right back, and so yeah, it really changed immediately, and it's been a journey for me of whether I'm going to buck against that, which is what I did in the beginning. I felt like, no, this is happening too fast. I didn't embrace it, and I found that making the choice to not embrace what is actually happening in your life is only going to make things harder for yourself. Mm-hmm. I needed to trust that somehow, I believe in a higher power, somehow this was ordained for me to be my life, and what I needed to do was accept it and know that I am big enough for it. And that is a journey that I am still on. And it's about radical self-acceptance, I think, and just accepting myself for exactly who I am. And yeah, I'm not to the finish line yet.
So considering the two roles that people know you the most for now, Poussey in Orange is the New Black and Moira on Handmaid's Tale, do you have any, like, beyond wanting to work with a certain actor or director, do you have any like bigger intentionality about the roles that you accept? Like, are you taking the roles for example, 10-year-old Samira, or for like America Today, you want to show people like a different sort of character who can be on TV? Do you have any big ideas around that?
Yeah, I think that those are questions that I'm starting to have the privilege to ask myself. In the beginning, it was, I'm a bartender, so I need a job. But I've been blessed with, you know, to have been given a career that has sort of shot off in a small amount of time, to be able to start to really think about those things and have some discernment about the roles that I take on. So that's a conversation that I'm beginning to have with myself. I think the things that are important to me are telling stories of people who look like me and have similar backgrounds as me, and we don't know that story. I want to tell stories that people can look at and say, oh, I didn't know, but I feel like that's, you know, that reminds me of the person that I see when I walk out of my building every day. Or just having stories that are, this sounds really inarticulate right now, but that are not being told. Yeah.
Is that limited
and like I said, it's an ongoing question for myself, and I think it's all about being aware that that I do have a voice, and trying to really have that ingrained in me and know that and make decisions based on that.
So is that only with regard to acting, or is there another role that you'd like to take in making those stories come to life? There's
definitely, I would love to step behind the camera, step behind a pen. It's hard when your wife is a writer, because I kind of feel like, well, I'm not gonna do it as good as her, so maybe I shouldn't. But we recently, you know, Lauren and I, my wife, we started our relationship on Orange. We started as a professional working relationship, a writer and actor, and it was amazing. And I'm such a fan of hers, and we had a conversation recently about, like, I want to do that again. Like, I want to figure out how to work together again. And she suggested, like, that we could write something together. And I was like, wait, what? Like, no, that's not what I do, you know? But, like, again, sort of needing or that voice sort of behind me that is encouraging me to let me know that I do have a voice, and that not only that, but I have a platform now, and I feel like I have a responsibility to figure out what I'm going to do with it. So next month, I want to say, you receive, I'm going to pretend like I don't have these note cards that you guys can all see. You're receiving the Vito Russo Award from GLAAD, which goes to, this is why I have the note card, an openly LGBTQ media professional who has made a significant difference in promoting LGBTQ acceptance. And then in 2014, you were named Out Magazine's Aunjanue of the Year. And so I'm wondering, was this like to be such an out and open actress in your field, was this a decision that you came to lightly? Or was this something that you knew that you had to do because that's exactly who you are? Definitely not something I came to lightly. I think everyone's under the queer umbrella has everyone's coming out story and just own personal, like, identity story is deeply personal. And for me, I wanted to, in the beginning of my career, I was under the impression that I needed to hide that. And that comes from, you know, outside sources, but it also just comes from, like, whatever I think is, you know, me feeling like I don't want to get typecast, me feeling like whatever. And the journey of being so comfortable with who I am, I attribute that a lot to being on Orange. and I attribute it a lot to being with my wife, with Lauren, to see her radical coming out story. For those of you who don't know, she was married to a man and got a job on Orange and subsequently came out, and now we're married.
Another very casual flex.
But seeing her radical acceptance of herself, and honestly, I think in my whole journey, she's been a real champion for me. And you know what? There's one thing that Ian McKellen said. He said that he's never met anyone who has regretted coming out. That there is this whole struggle that you have with yourself, but once you do it, it feels like there's a weight taken off of you, and like it's so freeing, it's so liberating. And to make the choice to do that for myself, but then also realize that by being visible, by walking down the street holding my wife's hand, that in this day and age has somehow become a radical act. Because we're, you know what I mean, we're saying this is who we are, you know, accept us or don't, this is who we are. And to be able to show that to younger generations, show that like, not only are you okay, you're fine, but you're valuable to the global conversation, you know what I mean? And I'm just so, I don't take the word role model lightly. I want to be able to be that. It's scary to embrace that, but that's what I want to do.
Something you've spoken a lot about in talking about coming out is the support of your parents, that you've had this from the jump. Unfortunately, you know, not everyone has that same support from their family structure. Do you have any advice for anyone who might find themselves in that situation?
Yeah, I can't imagine being in that situation. As you said, that is not my situation, and but it is one of the reasons that I feel like I need to be a voice, because I want to be that voice that people don't have in their parents. I want to be I care about the kids, y'all. I really do. And no, but really, like, there are just so many people, kids, LGBT kids, who genuinely think that their existence is wrong. And nothing pulls at my heartstrings more than that. I'm very, very passionate about that. If I could just like want to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with like each and every one of them that is going through something, and let them know that like, we need you. We need you, you know, like regardless of the message that you're receiving somewhere else. And it is overwhelming sometimes, because I know that I can't do that. I can't sit down and have that conversation with everyone. So that is, again, I feel like a lot of these questions I'm coming back at you with, that's a question I'm answering for myself. But it is. I'm trying to figure out what I can do, because I know I can't sit down with every single person, even though I want to.
Thank you so much for that. So we're like running a little short on time now. We're going to go to some of the student-led questions that we have, but real quick, you did mention that, you know, Orange sort of like invented binge watching on Netflix, and now you've got The Handmaid's Tale on Netflix. Like, are you willing to share your Netflix password with everybody in this room? We want to take in all your work, Samira.
No, but I will say, do not binge watch The Handmaid's Tale, people. That is not the kind of show you want to binge watch. All right? You watch one episode, you take it in, you know, you think about it, and then you return. Once you have, that's my advice.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for talking with me today. So, right before we transition into the student questions, we have a note from our sponsor, something I've always wanted to say. Here is a video from the North Face.
heard Amy Poehler speak at the White House. Her words hit me hard like a light bulb. Fictitious depictions of girls must die out. If we want to live in a world that triumphs, I am just talking about loving the femme. I ain't talking about nobody else. I'm just talking about loving ourselves.
Thank you. Okay, so we are going to go to our student questions. Our first question is from Jane Reel. Jane, are you here? Yeah, okay.
Hi.
I think there's supposed to be a spotlight on you, and there it is. Jane, everybody. Thank you for asking the first question. Go ahead.
Hi, I was wondering if you weren't pursuing acting, what you think you'd be doing.
That is a really good question, especially since I talk about, I've always been, I've always known I wanted to be an actor. And I think that if I wasn't, the thing that I'm attracted to so much is just this telling stories, sharing that with people. So I probably would, this is a lame answer, but I probably would just be around theater in some way, whether that is, behind the scenes, and, doing the tech stuff. Say, I've obviously never worked behind the scenes. No, but just something around, also my parents are both pastors, I grew up singing, so really something in entertainment, something that I feel like is serving someone, yeah.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. We have a video question.
Ooh.
Love us
2018.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Undram. I'm a junior at University of California, San Diego, and my question for you is, what has been the single biggest challenge for you working as a woman in the entertainment industry, and how did you overcome it?
I think that, thank you for that.
Bye. Screen.
No, but for me, it has been my journey with my sexual identity and being open about that, and I think the story that has been, to the world is that I am so open and I've, but I have had my own journey with that. That's really been, I think, the toughest thing for me is just trying to ask myself, it's the question of, well, if I am my authentic self, maybe they won't like me. And having to get to the other side, which took a long time for me, and I'm still getting there because I do want to be liked, is if you don't like me for who I am, then we probably shouldn't be hanging. You know what I mean? Like just being comfortable with who I am, and being okay if someone doesn't like me, even though that's still really hard for me.
Okay, we have another in-person question from Caroline.
Oh, I'm actually Kate.
Oh.
Hi, Kate.
Hi, Kate.
So my question is, I know that there have been a number of different directors on Orange is the New Black, or there were a number of different directors on Orange is the New Black, and sometimes it would vary from episode to episode. Mm-hmm. So my question for you is, as a woman of color, did your experience vary depending on the director that you were working with?
I think from being on Orange was such a specific experience, and I think about the ghetto dorm with me and Uzo and Daniel, all the black ladies on the show, and we sort of, I felt like we kept from episode to episode, because we also had, our writers' room was in LA. So we didn't even always have the writers on set with us. So I felt like we sort of relied on each other to keep what we had going from episode to episode. I think the directors sort of got like, after they were on set for a few days, they sort of like realized that, like, oh, they got there. Okay, I'm gonna figure out my way in there, rather than, you know what I mean? So I think we sort of drove that. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have another video question, just
Great.
Back and forth, from Sade.
Hi, my name is Sade Green, and I go to Amherst College, and I work in the Multicultural Resource Center. And part of what we talk about in the Multicultural Resource Center is how to practice self-care while being an activist. And so my question to you is, how do you cultivate joy while being an activist, and how do you practice self-care?
I think, you know, for everyone has to find their own practices, but for me, I've really started to, my prayer life is really big one for me. I don't go to church anymore. I went probably enough for my whole life when I was a kid. But I have a very strong relationship with my God, and I have to take time to meditate or journal or things like that that I stop and try to get in touch with myself. But I think another thing that she mentioned, joy. One thing that gives me so much joy is my family. I just being able to sit down to a meal and look in my wife's eyes and connect. I mean, that sounds like really simple, but let me tell you, we're both here on 2 different jobs right now, and we accidentally like mixed it up and we're staying at 2 different hotels. Like it's a thing to like, no, we're gonna fix it, it's fine. Yeah. But it is a thing to be intentional about sitting down and saying, I'm going to connect with this person because this person means something to me. Sitting down with my nephew who wants to be an actor, who is amazing and has beautiful eyes, so I like staring at him. But to be the things that are there from the beginning, and they love me because I'm Samira. They don't love me because I'm Samira Wiley, whatever. Those are the things that ground me, and those are the things that are, I think that's where my joy lies. Yeah.
We have another in-person question. Hi, Will.
Hi.
Hi, Will.
So I'm Will. I'm a senior in Columbia College. So one of the questions I had for you was, people of color are regularly expected to spend their emotional labor and time educating others about the struggles we face, which should be obvious for them. But I really want to ask, like, how do you balance educating people who want to learn to be inclusive, who want to learn the struggles we face, with also being able to do the things you actually want to do with your day?
I think that becomes a question of figuring out how much. I don't know. It's really a personal thing, I guess, from person to person, and I'm really passionate about that. But it's very frustrating, as I can tell from the way you ask your question. It is very frustrating because it is something that we take for granted. It's like you look at somebody who's like, how can you not see what is happening to me and my people? You know, I haven't found how to balance that yet. Sometimes it gets to the point where I am exhausted, and sometimes the exhaustion feels good. Sometimes it feels like I spent today, you know what I mean, speaking up and trying to get my point across and trying to relay the experience of me and people that look like me. And so I think it's really a day-to-day question. Having to wake up in the morning and say, this is how I used my voice yesterday. How did that feel to me? Did that feel good? Do I want to do the same thing today? Do I want to make a change today? So I think it's really an ongoing question, and that is a frustrating topic, I tell you that.
It really is. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, we have another video.
Hi, my name is Mash Osalku from San Jose State University, and my question for Samira is, how has your advocacy changed since you gained this new, bigger platform?
It's still changing. I feel like that's the message of this talk right now, is me understanding and being okay with being young in my career and still figuring things out. And it's a difficult place to still be figuring things out in the public eye. So that's something that I struggle with. But yeah, I honestly think specifically from playing Moira on The Handmaid's Tale, she has been a real inspiration for me in terms of how I want to use my voice and how I can use my voice. She is someone who is always going to speak up. She's you know, got all the what do you call it? The signs at the protest. What do you call it?
Protest signs?
The protest signs. No, but yeah, and I think that it's to see the payback that she gets, you know, just personally as Moira, what I have experienced, the personal gain that you get from doing things like that. I'm like I said, I'm still learning, but I'm still learning.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Amy. I'm a junior in Columbia. I was interested to know, I remember you talking about this earlier about kind of going deep into the various characters that you play. Mm-hmm. But I was interested to know, like, I imagine that you bring a lot of your own personal experience when you kind of get into these characters. But I was wondering if those characters that you play ever in turn influence who you are as a person and your identity as a member of the LGBTQ community, as an activist, as a woman, or any other identities you hold.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I went into answering a little bit of that question just now about talking about Moira, and even with Poussey when I was you know, on Orange, just going so deep into these characters and into these worlds, it helps me learn so much about things that I didn't know about before. I'm so much more informed about the prison system and wanting to feeling passionate now about prison reform. And that's one part that I love about my job, is I'm able to fully immerse myself in a completely different world and learn about something that I didn't even know I would be passionate about. And so I think that I want to look at every character that I play as having the potential to teach me something. And I think in order to do that, I have to make myself open to that, and have to understand and know that, Samira, you don't know everything. You can learn something from this. And so yeah, I think I've learned things from Poussey, and I think I'm still learning things right now with Moira. And I hope that I'm able to have such rich characters further down in my career, that I'm able to learn things from them as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have another video question from Christian.
Hi, Samira. My name is Christian Manukian, and I'm from Cal Poly Pomona. My question to you is pretty simple. What does feminism mean to you? How do you define feminism, especially now in the modern age, in the 21st century, in the year 2018, when the term itself has gone back and forth? There have been multiple definitions of it. How do you, Samira Wiley, define this?
Oh my gosh.
Christian is a woke bae. He's about to be an internet boyfriend.
Christian bae. I've always tried to, he said it was a simple question, and I'm gonna try to take a simple answer. I've always tried to, I guess I always think about feminism as, or being a feminist, as someone who is simply put, believes in the social and economic equality of the sexes, and to be more plain about it, just I want to be seen as a full human being, and just as it's really simple. I just want to be equal. We just want to be equal. We want the same rights. We want the same things. We want to be able to reach our full potential. We want the same opportunities. It's not that hard. It's very simple.
I'm very grateful for Christian in this moment. Okay, we have one last in-person question.
Hi, my name is Karina. I'm a senior at Barnard College, and my question is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I have ever received is my father telling me, because going into acting and wanting to be an entertainer, especially I think if you have stereotypically a Baptist pastor father, then they probably don't want you to do that. But he told me, and it has stuck with me so much, because I think that possibly he didn't necessarily always, you know, follow this in himself, is wanting to do what makes your heart sing. And this, what I'm doing right now, it puts a smile on my face. It makes my heart sing, like in a way that I can't even describe. I never thought that I would be here. I never thought that people would want to listen to anything that I have to say. But I think it ties back to what I was talking about being passionate. Everyone, I think, has something that they are passionate about. And we need to just make sure we never forget that. Because sometimes we get caught up in our job. And sometimes the job has nothing to do with the actual passion. And we need to, or I know for me, I need to find out exactly what that is from job to job. And I think just that's what I want to give to my children and everything. Just do what makes you happy. What is it? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness is really, really, really important to me, and I'm pursuing it every day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have one last video question coming in.
Hi Samira, my name is Jazmine Kay and I'm a student at the George Washington University, and I was wondering what advice you have for young people in using their voice to advocate for change for marginalized communities.
I think the very first step is understanding that you do have a voice. There are so many people in this country right now that want to tell young people that they don't. And it really, really starts, I think, with internally. And knowing that you are valuable. And to have that confidence within yourself is contagious. If you can stand up in front of someone and you feel completely confident in who you are, then it sort of translates onto people listening to you. And I think that it's just really a journey of a self journey and a conversation with yourself and checking in with yourself. I mentioned meditating and journaling. I think knowing, and therapy, please. Yes. It's all about you know, taking your life in your own hands. And I think that it's hard to give that message to someone else before you have it for yourself. So I think that it really starts with a journey of self-discovery.
I can't imagine a better place to end. This is all the time we have, unfortunately. Thank you all so much for coming, especially our student questioners. And Samira, thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Sorry I made you take your shoes off. I'm sorry I made you take your shoes off.
I realized after I took my